I've been looking forward to this all week.
Thanks, man. So have we, bro.
I started, I got to tell you, before we even start anything, I got to tell you how I found you. One of my listeners, I do a Saturday night show. It's called Decades here in the Wilkes-Barre, Scranton area. And one of my listeners actually said, you've got to listen to this band. And I do an 8 o'clock hour where I just play all the hair metal from the 1980s. I focus on all different kinds of hair metal from the 80s, not just the Poison and the Motley Crue, but the bands that didn't get a lot of airplay back then.
Sure.
And they said, you got to see this band, Rock Sugar. And I said, well, where are they from? And they said they do these mashups. So I said, well, let me know where I can find them. So he actually sent me some of your music, and I was blown away. So I played it on my show about 6 weeks ago, every week. Every single week I've been playing it since then.
Dude, that's fantastic. And the people are digging it?
They're loving it.
That's great, man. Thank you very much. Really appreciate the support.
And they keep on asking me, where are these guys? What are they? And I keep on, I send them to your website. And I've been sending them on Facebook, but I figured, let's get them on the show. And he said, we heard that they were on a desert island or something, and that's where they came up with this idea. Is that true, or is that I was looking on, I saw it on Wikipedia, and then I was on your website, and I was reading about it, and tell me a little bit about that. Is that true, or?
Thing, man, it's a double-edged thing because there's truth to it and there's also fantasy to it. We got this weird gig where we got a bunch of money and a lot of benefits for going to this island called Turks and Caicos and playing like 4 acoustic songs a day, me and Chuck and Alex, the drummer from Rock Sugar. So we went over there, and as we were there, I just got this idea. I thought, wouldn't it be funny if there was some 80s metal hair band in the late 80s who got shipwrecked on a desert island with nothing but pop records, And all they had to listen to was pop records like Rick Springfield and Journey and Paula Abdul and stuff like that. What would happen to these guys if they got rescued 20 years later? And where would their musical sensibilities lie?
Right.
So I knew for a while before that, Joe, that we wanted to do something in terms of being a band that was different, that nobody else was really doing. And it's like people had long asked us about, why don't you do a tribute band? You could do a Journey tribute band. You could do this kind of tribute band, that kind of tribute band. And we weren't really that interested in it. Not that we don't like good tribute bands, because like everybody else, I think those guys are great. But it's like we wanted to do something a little bit more original. So when we were on this island, I just got this weird idea, and I explained it to Chuck, and I said, hey, man, go take this away. And he came back with Don't Stop the Sandman, which is, was our first kind of single. And it's Enter Sandman mixed with Don't Stop Believin', But inside the record, we elaborate on that story and make it, more funny, because everything about this band is about having fun and being funny and being silly and all that stuff. And we said that, this band was stranded, and, we acted like it was a real story. And that's where the thing on Wikipedia, sometimes I think they represent that we actually,
people are actually saying that to me. They're saying, God, these guys were stuck on an island? I said, I really don't know if they were stuck on an island or not, so we'll find out if they were stuck on an island.
No, dude, although sometimes when I'm stuck in traffic, I wish I was stuck on an island, because that'd be a lot more scenic.
So you don't believe everything you read on the internet. That proves it, because some of it's true, but obviously you weren't stuck there for some 20 years listening to Rick Springfield.
No, it was more like a week and a half.
Now it's obviously, Jess and Chuck, it's Jess Harnell, Chuck Duran, and Alex Track. You make up Rock Sugar, correct? That's just the three of you.
Well, we have a bass player with us, a guy named Ken Kane. He came on board after the fact. I mean, Alex and Chuck and I did the record together, and Chuck and I did all the arrangements and stuff for the songs. But when we play live, we definitely have a fourth guy, because Chuck played the bass and the guitars on the record, and that would have been really hard for him to do live, unless he grew another arm or two.
I tried it, man, but I just couldn't. I couldn't swing it.
Yeah, he's good, but he's not that good.
So where is the record? That's the other question. Everybody's going to the website and they're seeing that it's going to be available soon.
Dude, what's going on with the record, and this is an absolutely true story, we can't sell it at the moment, although, hopefully we're going to get around that very, very soon. And the reason for it is because one of the singers whose song we not copied, but one of the songs that we put together with other songs to make a new song, heard it, and became convinced that it was actually his voice, that we had somehow sampled his voice, that my voice was his voice. And it's a compliment, because he's one of my favorite singers, but to tell you the truth, it's really turned into kind of a pain in the butt trying to work it out. So we can't sell the record until we make him happy, because he's like, it's misleading to the public and everybody's going to think it's me. And we got to deal with it. But in the meantime, you can still hear the stuff on YouTube, and most importantly, you can come and see us live, and we'll really kick your butt.
And you have an incredible voice. I mean, the voice is just... And it does. It sounds like people, that's the other question they're saying. They said, is this a band or is this a DJ who's mixing the original? Everybody does the mashups on their own home computer.
Yeah, sure.
And everybody thinks, is this? Well, I said, well, obviously that's not Madonna.
No.
I said, you can tell, obviously that's not Madonna or Paula Abdul, but I mean, the Journeys especially. I mean, It's right on. I mean, it sounds better than Steve Perry sang it.
Yeah, well, and it is a band, man. And you know, when we first started doing these mashups, and we sat there and dissected what songs we wanted to mash together. The difference between doing something like this and computerized version is way different, because I mean we actually had to like change keys and speed up songs and rewrite and change a few of the chords from minor to major to make stuff really work. So the whole thing was like basically recrafted from the ground up, and that's why when you listen to them, they seem so like they're basically one song, because we turned them into one song.
Yeah, and that's the thing, dude. It's cool because like you were saying, bro, everybody does mashups. Anybody with a computer can do a mashup. But what's kind of cool with our stuff, we like to think anyway, that we've sort of reimagined these songs completely. That's why the first record was called Reimaginator. It's like they're not really mashups. It's like we took 2, 3, sometimes 4 songs together and made a new song. You know what I mean? It's like, and it's really tricky because you got to make it flow, you got to make it sound like it makes sense, and it's not all disjointed and stuff like that. And it's really great because everybody's got ADD these days. So when you go to a Rock Sugar show, it's 45 seconds, you get a brand new song.
Going back, I guess about 7 weeks, I played "Don't Stop the Sandman."
Right.
Is that the correct title? Because again, I'm getting these off,
correct.
And I'm looking for the different titles. I played that, and people were, they were blown away by that. So the next week, I played, is it "I Love Sugar on Me"?
Yeah, I love Sugar on Me. Yeah,
I played that one, and I got more phone calls. Then I went to "Shook Me Like a Prayer."
Cool.
And people they believed me at that point that I wasn't mixing these songs. I'm thinking, first of all, I'm not that good. Played "Kickstart Your Rhapsody."
Thanks, man. We like that one.
Is it "Round and Separated"? Is that what it's called?
Yep.
I played that one last week. I played "Straight to Rock City," and that's the one I think I got a ton of calls about that.
Oh, cool, man. I'm glad. I love that. That's excellent.
Because they said, that should be just a rock song. Straight up should just be a rock song. Nobody ever imagined it as being played as a rock song. You hear it being played as a little poppy dance song.
Yep.
But you never imagine it with the guitar in it.
Well, that's the thing, dude. It's like, the cool thing is that when we were putting this whole thing together, Chuck was a good barometer for me because we made these 2 lists. We had a list of pop songs and a list of rock songs.
Well, we had a list of Jesse's favorite songs and then Chuck's favorite songs.
No, that isn't even true because some of these songs I didn't like, but I mean, I'm writing down like the list of pop songs from the 80s, and I'm writing down stuff like, Love Shack and Ladies.
And who got the most songs? Who won in that? Who got the most songs?
Actually, I think it was a tie, man. It was a tie. We actually, you know what? We ended up with both of us, loving every song that we did.
Yeah, that's true, and it was really cool, though. I mean, I got to be honest, though, man. And it's like we would come up with these ideas, and I had the easier job because I'd say that if you look at the album, I think there's 13 songs on it, and if it wasn't 7-6, or whatever, it's like we both came up with probably the same number of matchups, but Chuck had to do all the really heavy lifting. It's like I would go in the room and say, "Hey, dude, put Rick Springfield's Jesse's Girl together with Ozzy Osbourne's Crazy Train," and then I go, "Okay, I gotta go," and I'd leave, and he'd have to sit there and figure out how to make the nuts and bolts of it work, which is much harder to do than it is to say.
And I was looking on YouTube, and some of these songs, I mean, they have 400,000 hits on them.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. The Sandman song is almost at 1 million now.
It's almost. I mean, it's amazing how fast it spreads. How about original stuff?
Well, we've done a lot of original stuff. You can probably check out some of that on YouTube too. We were in a band called Loud and Clear, Joey. But the thing is, man, it's like honest to goodness. It comes to a point. Chuck and I both have been lucky, and we have successful careers back here in L.A. I do a lot of voices for cartoons and for TV shows and movies and stuff like that. Chuck runs a very successful recording studio where he does all kinds of stuff in there. And, we were like, well, we love playing music and everything, but at the same time, at this point in our lives, we got mortgages,
Right. Yeah, I know that.
Friends, and they want to go out to dinner and et cetera, et cetera. So what you do is you kind of start saying, well, I love playing music, but even in our original band, and it was a really good band. It's called Loud and Clear, and I encourage anybody who's interested in that kind of music. It's sort of like Def Leppard meets Journey, to check it out, and you'll dig it. But I kid you not, man, no matter how hard we worked, even if we sold out a club and there were 1,000 people at the club to see the band, at the end of the night, the 4 of us would be splitting $800 and kind of going, this isn't really going to work as a way to make a living. So what was cool is when we came up with the Rock Sugar thing, it's like suddenly we had a vehicle that was commercially viable and that could actually, make money. And it's like, believe it or not, within, whatever it was, I think our first real gig was playing in front of 20,000 people at the Memphis in May Music Festival, you know, and we actually we opened that day. We went on right before Vince Neil, and the promoter said there were more people to see us than had ever been there at that hour the day before. And then at the end of the day, Three Doors Down was supposed to play, but they got caught in weather in Nashville and couldn't make it. So we went on again as the headliner in front of like 20,000 people, and that was our first day, you know. So it just goes to show you, man, anybody listening who's got some kind of crazy idea and you're thinking, boy, this is really weird, I wonder if it could work, you should probably try it.
Well, I mean, where we brought our studio that we broadcast in, we're actually inside of a casino. It's like I'm on display. It's the Mohegan Sun Casino. It's actually the first casino that was opened up in Pennsylvania when they first were able to open up, got a gaming license.
Well, dude, I'll tell you right now, first of all, Mohegan Sun casinos are beautiful. Second of all, I think we've played a couple of those, and we should totally come and play that one. So I don't know who you guys know, or if you can put our agents in touch with the people there, or if your listeners, hey, anybody listening to this, if you dig Rock Sugar, call the Mohegan Sun Casino and say, I want to see these guys come play there. And before too long, we will be there live to kick your butt.
I mean, that's the thing. There's bands here every single week, and it gets tiring listening to them. Everyone does the same cover, the same, and it's not knocking any of the local bands, because a lot of them make real good material, and you know they're really successful. But
sure,
you know, everybody does 8675309. Everybody does Jesse's Girl. And it's just the same versions every single week. And I hear them here, and it's like, and this is so much different. It's like it's a totally new concept on these songs.
That's what I mean, dude. And it's like you said, it's not knocking those guys, because, dude, you know, we've all done that, and it's groovy, and people like those songs. But it's a whole different animal when you hear them in a new way that you've never heard them before. I used to describe Rock Sugar as, imagine driving to work the same way you drive every day, year after year after year, and one day you're driving down the street and there's a meteor in the middle of the road. That's what listening to Rock Sugar is like, because you know all these songs, you've heard them a million times, but all of a sudden they go somewhere completely different to another song you've heard a million times. Then they go back to the first one, and then they go to a different one. And that's what makes it interesting.